Joining us for the chapter 18 of the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, book written by John Maxwell. It's been a great discussion so far, and I'm glad you're sticking with it, taking the time to invest in yourself by going through this book and being here live and in person for this study. It's good to make an investment in yourself and your own professional development. If you do still have a microphone on, we'll ask you to mute. I hear a few background noises still, and I'll keep looking for it. But anyway, it's good to have you participating with us live. Before I introduce our speaker, I saw something today, in fact, from John Maxwell that kind of talked about the difference between whiners and winners. And this relates to self-discipline, actually. He says whiners feel good before they do something. They live by their emotions. They play now and pay later. Practice negative habits. But winners do something before they feel good. They live by their responsibilities. They pay now, play later, and they practice positive habits. The difference between whiners and winners. That was a good comparison. You can probably find that chart online somewhere yourself if you're interested in having that, or I can share it in the chat as well. Our guest speaker today is Dr. Amy Patillo. Dr. Patillo is a workforce development specialist with University of Missouri Extension. She's coming to us live from her home in Aurora, Missouri. She has 2 children and 2 dogs there, I know, to keep track of. All 4 of those are good entertainment, I'm sure. Her husband, not entertainment, but the kids and the dogs, yes. Anyway, Amy has a great academic background of experience. You may recall she has done a session before, but I just wanted to remind you, she's been with University of Missouri Extension since 2011. She has a bachelor's degree and a master's in communication sciences and disorders from Missouri State University. She has a master's degree in educational administration and leadership from Missouri State University. And she has a specialist degree and a doctorate degree in educational administration and leadership from St. Louis University. And she will be covering the topic today of self-discipline. So Dr. Patillo, who, as a good friend, I call her Amy, it's all yours.
Thank you, David. Well, we can't wait to get started because we're going to have a little fun today. It's Friday, and we've tested it out, and we have a little surprise for you as we move through. So let's get started. In Maxwell's chapter 18, Self-Discipline, he shares 6 insights with us. The first person you need to lead is you. Develop and follow your priorities. And as we go through the presentation today, you'll see these highlighted. Make a disciplined lifestyle your goal. Challenge your excuses. And David just spoke to remove rewards until the job is done. And stay focused on results. So we're going to kick it off with a poll to see what you rate your personal self-discipline as. This is on an average day, with 1 being the least disciplined and 5 being the most disciplined. Are you someone that you wake up and you look at your schedule and you think, I'll never get this all done? Often we say, what was I thinking when I said yes? And many of us in the Greene County office went through a crazy busy book study, and I heard many of us saying, why did I say yes? We got caught up in the opportunity and working with our colleagues, and we just added too much to our schedule. Or 3, here's my everything I plan to do checklist, and I plan to get it all done. 4, you start your day off saying, I'm going to make it happen. And at this time, no one chose nailed it. Self-discipline for 1 and excuses for 0.
We'll continue to let people vote here. I started using a little Microsoft app called ToDo List, which is a great way, I think, to keep track of my to-do list electronically, and I still have the satisfaction of checking things off when I'm done with them. Here we go, Amy. Looks like we have great participation here today.
And you know, most people were kind of in the middle with, here's my everything I plan to do checklist. I think lots of us get caught up into making that checklist, and it is such great satisfaction to be able to check those off when you're done. Sometimes at the end of the day, I think, wow, I got 5 of the 6 items done that were essential for today. But if I was to include everything on my to-do list, it would take several pages of notebook paper probably. Okay, we're moving on. So we're going to dive deeper into self-discipline. Self-discipline is more than any other word. It separates people from being successful and not being successful. Maxwell says he has never met a successful person that didn't have self-discipline. Self-discipline is being able to perform, being able to keep our life on schedule, being able to keep the commitments that we make, our promises, and to keep deadlines that are essential to our success. Maxwell compares self-discipline to a bridge. Self-discipline is the bridge between good intentions and our actions. Self-discipline is the bridge that takes our good intentions and turns them into good actions. Is your path to good intentions a tunnel or is it a bridge? If it's a tunnel, then self-discipline is heavy because it's always what you're going through. For an example, you hear people say, I'm going through a hard time at work. I'm going through a difficult time. These are ways that we make excuses. There's a difference in going through something and going to something. If self-discipline is a heavy thing for you, it's a hard thing for you. If self-discipline is a journey for you, it's easier. So Maxwell classifies people into 2 groups. The person that says, I have to wait until I feel like it to do it, or the person that says, I have to do it to feel like it. So we're ready for our second poll. And if you're thinking about your self-discipline, are you a person that, 1, you have to wait until you feel like it to do it? Or you have to do it to feel like it? Or for some of us, it depends on the task in front of us. So I really didn't want to give the option that it depends on the task in front of us, but that's very, very true. If it's something that you enjoy doing, you're more likely to get up and get that done or move forward with it. If it's something that you dread doing or you're a bit of a procrastinator, you're more likely to wait until you feel like you need to do it. I wish I were the person that said, I have to do it to feel like it. And that really made me think about how I get my priorities aligned. Do I procrastinate until I feel like I want to do it because that ends up in me forcing myself to do it? Or could I approach my task and my priorities differently by thinking, you know, if I do it, then I'm going to feel like doing it. And even after I procrastinate, I tend to go ahead and do it. And once I get involved in it, it does make me feel like doing it. So one of these people will never get anything done because they're still waiting to feel the movement to move. And the other person says, no, I need to move. And then I will feel the movement. Self-discipline is essential if we're going to get things done. So here is your challenge. As you go through your weekend, ask yourself, am I practicing self-discipline in my life? Am I doing the things because I need to do them? Or am I waiting to feel the moment? So tell me in chat, are any of you missing baseball season this year? And David, if you would manage chat for me, that would be helpful. Yeah. Let's hear it in the chat for baseball.
Well, we're missing it around our house because our son had an internship with the Springfield Cardinals. which of course they're not playing yet. So we're really missing that part of it. And I think there may be a few Cubs fans on here as well. So I you know, it's not just about the Cardinals, but.
Well, I'm missing baseball season too.
Looks like it's split. So, some look like they could do without it. Not everybody is a baseball fan, which I'm sure Major League Baseball is thrilled about. But
all right, are you seeing my screen, David?
I am.
Okay, I lost my own screen, so I'm looking for it again. Here it is. All right, for some reason when I click the chat box, it takes my screen away. I'm so sorry. All right, so in this picture, you may recognize this group of people. This is a Ed Sullivan segment from 1958, and it's the New York Yankee Stars, and they're getting ready to lead the chorus. You might recognize Whitey Ford. He's the one leaning on the computer here, and the group of gentlemen, or computer, it's a piano, sorry. And there's Yogi Berra beside him. This is Mickey Mantle over here. And then the very end here is Bill Scoron. And so it's Friday, and I thought we'd have a little bit of fun. I'm on time, and we're going to do an old-fashioned sing-along for those of you who are missing baseball like I am. And it's a short thing, but I'd love to hear you sing along with us, and you're welcome to unmute your mics if you'd like. So I just wanted us to have a little bit of fun.
Okay, good luck. And do you know the plans for Sunday? Are you guys going to be?
Would you mind to mute everyone, David?
Are you taking your senior?
Okay, I should no longer be sharing my screen. Is that right, David?
That is correct.
All right.
You know, you do have some baseball fans in your group. Stephanie shares that she's actually watching the replays of the Royals 2014 and 2015 winning seasons. She's missing it that bad.
That's amazing. So I don't know because I haven't been keeping up on the news, but there is some talk about the baseball leagues playing just a few games here or there. Is that correct? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, they're talking about different scenarios, but the players union has to agree to it, and it doesn't. Right now, it doesn't look like they're going to agree to it. So,
well, Maxwell tells a story of self-discipline and how without it we may never reach our potential. Maxwell says he may have been the most naturally gifted baseball player of all time. He was clocked rounding the bases in an incredible 13 seconds. Yet his speed was nothing compared to the power of his hitting. It's been said there were home run hitters, and then there was this man in a league of his own. The Guinness Book of World Records credits him with hitting the longest home run ever measured at 643 feet. So we're ready for our third poll. Maxwell refers to this baseball player as someone who never reached their potential. Who is it that he's referring to? This may be more difficult for our individuals that aren't baseball fans, but you can still make a great guess because Maxwell's not the only authority on baseball. He just is today.
and interesting tidbit, but a scout who lives in Willard, Missouri, or lived in Willard, Missouri, is the scout that discovered this player and signed him.
I did not know that. And is this player that we're referring to also a Missouri native?
I don't believe so.
I thought he was a St. Louis, Missouri native.
Maybe. The scout's last name is Greenwade. In fact, the high school baseball field at Willard High School is named after him.
Okay, so this is interesting. Our vote was split between Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio. So the player that Maxwell is describing here is the great Mickey Mantle. By the age of 19, he'd been called up to play for the New York Yankees. He won a World Series his rookie year, and his teams would capture 7 championships over the course of his career. By the time he retired, Mantle had played more games as a Yankee than any other player and had been named MVP of the American League 3 times. He still holds the all-time World Series records for home runs, runs scored, and runs batted in. Yet, in spite of his impressive accomplishments, experts believe that Mickey Mantle never reached his potential. Most blame Mantle's chronic knee injuries for preventing him from doing more. But injuries weren't the root of the problem. What most people didn't know was that Mickey Mantle was a raging alcoholic. At the age of 62, with his health and family life a mess, Mantle checked into the Betty Ford Clinic and started the long road to sobriety. Looking back from this vantage point, Mickey Mantle assessed his career. Mantle said, "I never fulfilled what my dad had wanted, to be the greatest player who ever lived, and I should have. God gave me a great body to play with, and I didn't take care of it, and I blame a lot of it on alcohol. Everybody tries to make the excuse that injuries shortened my career. The truth is, after I'd had a knee operation, the doctors would give me rehab work to do, but I wouldn't do it. I'd be out drinking. I hurt my knees through the years, and I just thought they'd naturally come back. Everything has always come natural to me. I didn't work hard at it." Despite Mickey Mantle's great natural talent, he never disciplined himself off the field. By the time Mantle was ready to change, it was too late. His liver was ruined from a life of alcoholism, and he died at the age of 64 from inoperable cancer. So what were you born to do? And what is your dream? To become the person you have the potential to be, you have to cultivate a life of discipline. Consider Maxwell's insights concerning discipline. David spoke to this morning. Discipline comes with a price tag. It's costly. It demands a continual investment of your time, your energy, and your commitment at the expense of momentary pleasure and ease. Discipline means playing hours of practice to win a prize skill. Discipline means giving up short-term benefits for the hope of future gain. It means pressing on to excellence long after everyone else has settled for average. And I think if Extension has taught me anything, it has taught me that my colleagues are more likely to be the person that's pressing on for excellence long after everyone has settled down for average or settled in for average. In Maxwell's story about someone like Mickey Mantle, you realize that too much talent can actually work against someone. Super talented individuals can coast on sheer ability. They often neglect building the daily habits of self-discipline that will make them successful and sustain them. Maxwell says, if you want to reach your potential, attach a strong work ethic to your talent. In general, people approach daily self-discipline in one of 2 ways. They either focus on the external or the internal. Those who focus externally allow conditions to dictate whether or not they remain disciplined. Because conditions are transitory, their discipline levels change like the wind. They're externally impacted by the things around them. In contrast, people with internal discipline focus on choices. You cannot control the circumstances, nor can you control others. By focusing on your choices and making the right ones regularly, you stay disciplined. I believe this is what resonates most with me. Discipline does not bow down to feelings. One of Maxwell's favorite references is to Arthur Gordon, who said, Nothing is easier than saying the words. Nothing is harder than living them. Day after day. What you promise today must be renewed and redecided tomorrow and each day that stretches out before you. If you do what you should only when you feel like it, then you won't build disciplined habits. At times, you have to act contrary to your emotions. If you refuse to give in to your lesser impulses, no matter how great they will make you feel in the moment, then you'll go far. Self-discipline is a matter of taking total responsibility for your future. Choose not to blame circumstances for the outcome of your life. Choose to go beyond your natural talent. Choose to make wise decisions repeatedly and choose discipline as the path to your potential. I chose the self-discipline topic and the chapter 18 with Maxwell because I felt like I wanted to live a more disciplined life. And I have had the honor of working in the Greene County office with a great group of colleagues, and they have taught me a lot about self-discipline. Together, we support one another and we help each other be more disciplined. I am hopeful that you found value in the information today. I wanted to have a little fun with baseball, so I wanted to sing a little song with the 1958 New York Yankees to have a bit of fun on Friday. But it was my pleasure to join you today, and I appreciate you being here with MU Extension.
I bet there's some questions and things here too, Amy. This is such an important topic. It cuts across so many different areas. In fact, some of what you were saying there was reminding me of this sort of connection between self-discipline and setting priorities. You have to be self-disciplined enough to say no sometimes.
And I just last week, I think it was, in one of our sessions, we had a couple of examples of setting our priorities and self-discipline. And sometimes when someone makes a request of you, you have to really consider what your priorities are and just say, I'd be happy to connect you. I'd be happy to help you. And maybe not take that responsibility on yourself. And that can be extremely difficult to do in the moment. You're making a split-second decision. So one thing that David has shared is that I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. He's a pretty open book, so I doubt he does. He may not tell me stuff after this. But David often says when we're talking about our schedules and the things that are important to us, that he prays over his schedule every morning. And, you know, that's something that if you make a practice of self-discipline daily, then that second of the moment, that moment where you have to say yes or no, becomes a lot easier.
And that's a self-discipline in itself, of course. But I'm kind of wondering what areas of life other people may feel like they need self-discipline. And do you have a plan to address those areas in life where you need to become more self-disciplined? I suspect this is something that impacts everyone. It seems like one of those topics that everybody deals with from time to time, or you hear a lot of people say, I need more self-discipline.
This is Trish, you know, and I don't mean to interrupt, David. You can finish your thought.
Go ahead.
Where I think self-discipline for all of us who are parents, we have to exercise self-discipline as an example to our children. And we also have to exercise discipline to care for them appropriately. And that's something I think that they need more than anything else is consistency and to know what to expect from us.
Yes. Well, and a few comments here in chat as well. Maggie's saying no is so hard when you want to help everyone. And I know we want to, many of us are geared that way to where we want to help people, but if we're saying yes to everything, we're spraying ourselves too thin. What's the saying? If you try and be of use to everyone, you're really of use to no one, because you're just spread so thin.
And I like what Valerie says here. A commitment is a promise to myself. I do not see that in many, and it's terrible. I realize what I'm saying now. After Valerie's comment, I often say to my family and sometimes my close friends that I'm motivated externally because I am so used to letting myself down that I let myself down all the time. But I would work overtime so that I didn't let you all down. But she's saying a commitment is a promise to myself. And so I need to be more focused on taking care of my commitment because it's important to me.
It's a very good point. And another good comment here in chat from Shayla, who says, this season of work from home has sometimes challenged my self-discipline. Well, I suspect we all can relate to that. I know the first week of quarantine with the household here, my wife and 2 children, they were staying up way too late watching movies, and so was I. And that was that got to be hard to get out of bed and get going with the regular work routine. And reversing that has required a lot of self-discipline that I didn't really see coming into this as being one of the major challenges, but it sure has been.
I've heard that from a lot of our colleagues, and we've been on our work at home for some time now, and people have begun to express the difficulties that they're having with their own health and well-being. And so that's one of the next webinar sessions we have coming up with the workforce group, is a focus on our own personal health and well-being and our mental health, because during this time, many of us have continued to work, and we've continued to help other people solve problems or to be present for others where we're thankful we had that opportunity so that we have our jobs. But that has taken a secondary kind of trauma for us who are working in the field. And so that's something that David's speaking to, is that other people around us have different priorities. Yeah. And in the face of that, it's very difficult to continue on and manage your own health and well-being.
And I think sometimes we find that maybe being self-disciplined is easier in areas that we're passionate about. Maybe there's a project you're working on that you're really excited about, and maybe you have more self-discipline with that. So you set the smartphone aside and you turn off the distractions because you're really excited about this particular project. And that's where you shine when it comes to self-discipline. But it becomes more challenging in areas that you're not quite so excited about working on, or things where you need improvement, but it doesn't seem as urgent. That's really where self-discipline has to be a choice. That's probably a choice that we remind ourselves of each and every day, practice it each and every day, maybe even hour by hour, as we remind ourselves of self-discipline. You think it gets better with practice, Amy, or is that always an ongoing?
It does, David. In fact, it gets better with practice. I've seen that in the Greene County office with how we work together and how we're really thinking through our schedules so that we can accomplish our task. But after this session, I am thinking it's time to bring back that crazy busy book study again. Because with practice over and over and over, we'll continue to get better.
You do have to say no to some things. I know sometimes there's guilt with that. When you're a people pleaser, you feel bad for that. But boy, that is so important. And I love Catherine's comment here. Getting 7 hours of sleep launches my self-discipline. Boy, that is true. And I know Amy makes her sleep routine a priority.
That's right. There's many times that you all have sent me messages, but I've been in bed for hours.
You are my example in regards to that self-discipline. No kidding.
And for Catherine, for me, it's not 7 hours. My body prefers 9 to 12. And if I don't get 9 to 12, by the end of the week, I'm feeling just exhausted.
Oh, and one more from Cheryl. If you can set a goal and complete it quickly, can help motivate you to want to self-discipline for future goals. That's true when you see success of doing that. And then one other comment from in the chat, a quote that we'll leave with here today. May your choices today lead to your goals tomorrow. I like that. That's a good quote on self-discipline. Well, Amy, thank you for your time today, the time you've invested in researching this topic and getting us to think about it more deeply today. It's if we're concerned with our own professional development and improvement, this is certainly an area that that if you improve in that, it has a lot of additional benefits. So thank you for the encouragement in that area.